Imagine spending 30, perhaps 40 years of your life building a kingdom. You played the role perfectly. You were the provider. You were the stoic rock. You went to work. You absorbed the stress. You paid the mortgages. And you swallowed your grievances. You were promised a specific transaction by society. If you sacrifice your youth, if you compromise your desires, and if you provide security, you will be rewarded with a peaceful home, unwavering respect, and a companion for your twilight years. You upheld your end of the bargain. You showed up. You bled for your family. And yet, sitting here today, perhaps staring out the window as a man over 60, you feel a distinct, gnawing sensation that the transaction was fraudulent. Today, we are going to dissect the silent rebellion of the older man, a psychological shift that society refuses to talk about because it terrifies the modern world. In the next few minutes, you are going to face truths about relationships, women, and your own past compromises that you never dared to speak out loud. Realities that might actually hurt to hear because they challenge the very foundation of what you were told makes a good man. But I ask you to stay with me, because by the time we are finished, I am going to dismantle your entire perception of loneliness, duty, and romantic obligation. Most importantly, I'm going to show you the exit. At the end of this conversation, you will understand why the solitary man over 60 is not a tragic figure. He is the most dangerous, free, and sovereign creature on the planet. This is not an accident. The fact that you are now choosing solitude over companionship is not a glitch in your psychology, nor is it a result of you being bitter. It is the result of a brutal awakening. For decades, you were conditioned to believe that a man's value is derived entirely from his utility to others, specifically to women. You were taught how to be useful, but you were never taught how to be free. Before we continue, I've created a resource for the men listening who feel they are losing their grip. It's called the 48-Hour Tactical Reset. It's a free, step-by-step protocol to stop the mental spiral and regain your focus in just 2 days. You can find the link in the description below. Download it, use it again, it's free, and let's get back to the truth about the sacrifices we make. To understand why the man over 60 walks away from the modern dating market, we have to look through a lens that most people find incredibly uncomfortable. We have to look through the lens of power dynamics, the kind of cold, strategic realism that governs human behavior. If you study the architecture of modern relationships, you find it was built on a premise that desperately needed one thing from men: infinite emotional tolerance. A traditional household relies on a stable hierarchy, but the modern relationship curriculum taught you that you were responsible for everything, yet in control of nothing. You provided the physical structure, the house, the income, the safety, but she was allowed to dictate the emotional weather. If she was unhappy, it was your fault. If she was anxious, it was your job to soothe her. If she created chaos, it was your duty to calm the storm. Therefore, the societal curriculum was designed to be silent on the one subject that could disrupt this hierarchy: a man's right to absolute peace. They taught you how to earn a woman's love, but they never taught you how to command her respect. There is a profound difference. Being relationally literate in the modern sense means knowing how to compromise, how to apologize to keep the peace, and how to shrink yourself so you don't seem threatening. That is the literacy of a domesticated beast of burden. But the literacy of a sovereign man, the understanding of boundaries, the refusal to absorb projected trauma, and the willingness to walk away, that is the literacy of a king. And society does not train its beasts of burden to wear crowns. There is a threshold that a man crosses when he reaches his 60s and has lived in his own company long enough. At first, the silence of an empty house is terrifying. It echoes with the ghosts of past arguments and the phantom sounds of a busy household. But if you endure, if you hold your ground, and do not rush out to fill that void with another person, the silence changes. It becomes a heavy, luxurious blanket of absolute peace. And once a man has wrapped himself in that blanket, his eyes change. The fog lifts. He no longer sees women through the red haze of biological thirst or the blue lens of societal idealism. He sees the human being beneath the archetype. He sees the mechanism beneath the magic. Because he no longer believes in the sorcery, there are certain things he absolutely refuses to tolerate anymore. The first is emotional chaos, the entropy tax. The solitary older man lives in a world of cultivated order. When he puts his keys on the table, they are there the next morning. When he budgets his money, the numbers balance. His emotional state is a flat lake, calm, reflective, deep. He remembers the days of living together, the fluctuating moods that changed the weather of the house, the sudden crises that required his immediate attention, the dramatic moments that derailed a perfectly peaceful Tuesday evening. Now, when he looks at a woman, he subconsciously calculates the entropy tax. He meets a charming, vibrant woman, but his mind instantly projects her into his sanctuary. He imagines the noise. He imagines the disruption of his routine. He asks himself, is her presence worth the destruction of my peace? And the answer, increasingly, is no. He views women as beautiful storms, violent, awe-inspiring, fascinating to watch from a safe distance. But you do not invite the hurricane into your living room. He appreciates the storm, but he loves his shelter more. He also refuses to tolerate the illusion of unconditional love. Young men are romantics. They believe that if they are just nice enough, strong enough, and rich enough, they will be loved for who they are. The solitary man at 60 has read the fine print of the contract. He has likely been through the family court system. He has seen how quickly "I love you" turns into "I want half." He has lived long enough to see that romantic love is highly conditional. It is conditional on provision, on status, on utility. Because of this, he refuses to be the unknowing donor. He views every interaction with a modern woman as a negotiation. He sees the invisible ledger floating above her head. She smiles at him. He thinks, what is the cost of that smile? She asks for help. He thinks, what is the return on this investment? She shows interest. He thinks, what resource of mine is she targeting? Is it my time, my money, or just my validation to boost her ego? This sounds cynical to the young, but to the solitary man, it is simply realistic. He realizes women operate on a survival imperative that requires resources. He doesn't blame them for it. Nature designed them that way. But he outright refuses to bankrupt himself for a depreciating asset. He has retired from the trading floor. Furthermore, he refuses to be a full-time audience member for a one-woman show. In his solitude, the older man has conquered the need for external validation. He is content being invisible. But when he looks at the modern landscape, he sees an insatiable hunger for attention. He sees the obsession with social media, the constant checking of reflections. He realizes that for many modern women, they do not exist unless they are being perceived. He refuses to be the mirror she uses to reassure herself that she exists. Being in a relationship today often means you are required to clap. You are required to notice. You are required to absorb the drama. The solitary man has no energy left for this job. He does not want to be a mirror. He wants to be a window, looking out at the world, at ideas, at nature. He views this constant need for attention as an energy vampire, and he protects his energy like gold. He gives them polite indifference, which, ironically, drives them crazy, because nothing confuses a modern woman more than a man who does not need to look at her. He has also discovered the beauty of the static object, and with it, he refuses the burden of possession. His books, his tools, his quiet mornings. They are consistent. They are loyal. They do not judge him. Through this, he has learned to separate aesthetic appreciation from possessive desire. When he was younger, beauty triggered a command. I must possess her. Now, he views women through an aesthetic lens, almost like living art. He can admire a woman's beauty the way he admires a sleek sports car. He can say, that is a magnificent design. But just because he admires the vehicle doesn't mean he wants to pay the maintenance, the insurance, and the storage costs to own it. He realizes you do not have to pick the flower to enjoy it. If you pick it, it dies in your hands. If you take the mystery home, the mundane reality begins. He prefers to leave the flower in the park. Finally, he refuses to tolerate the manufactured crisis. Society programs men to be rescuers, white knights. When a woman is sad or in trouble, a man's instinct is to jump in front of the train to save her. The solitary man at 60 has permanently deactivated this circuit. He has realized that many crises are manufactured. He has realized some people are addicted to their own suffering because it brings them attention. When he sees a woman performing vulnerability, he doesn't reach for his checkbook or his cape. He watches. He asks, is this real, or is this a test of my utility? He respects women enough to view them as fully capable adults,